So we can get the link in the group.
Recorded.
So, and you can access it via the web.
Yes, we have access
You're
to
on the
it.
group, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I shorten this? Can someone, how can you get it? Okay. All right. Okay. So, so we're using, so we don't need to explain the environment, right? Because we are already building, we are writing programs already. So, but this is Colab. So this Colab is basically the environment, but it's a web based. It's built by Google. So the name behind the Colab is collaborative. So as I have this, if I'm working on this, I can share the link to my team, and also we can work together on it together. So it's the same structure of Jupyter Notebook. We know Jupyter Notebook, so it's the same structure of the Jupyter Notebook, cell execution, get the result, and so another thing about Colab is it has GPU. It has GPU embedded, and it also has TPU. So when we start building models, we'll know what GPU and I think it has TPU as well when we want to use want to do TensorFlow. Yeah. So so let's get started. So this is the structure we are going to follow for advanced Python programming. So the first one is we look at the advanced structure, control structures and functions. Then we look at object-oriented programming in Python, and then error handling in debugging. But for this week, we are just going to look at advanced control structures and functions. Let me see if the material talk about okay, so the material is only on the first one. So we are only going to do this advanced control structures and functions. So these are excuse me. So under advanced control structures and functions, we look at list, set, and dictionary comprehension for data manipulation. Basically, these are the ways we store data in data structure. And the next one is map, filter, reduce function for data processing. These are also the way we manipulate data, how we iterate over data, how we perform operations with the data either in a list or in a set or in a dictionary. So the next one is generator expression for large data set. So other data structures like list, set, they generate data, but there is a need to, in case we have a larger data set, so that's why we have this generator expression for larger data set. And the next one is asynchronous programming for data processing, right? So in case you have a lot of data you need to process, so there is a need to perform it asynchronously so that you won't have to be waiting for it to be processing. So that is, the programmers will know asynchronous, backend, they know what, but we look at it as we move. And then we have high order function for parallelization and distributed computing, functional programming paradigm for data pipelines, then Python, pandas, NumPy libraries for data manipulation. So which is, one of these two guys, pandas and NumPy, they are like, I can say maybe one of the most popular libraries. So when you get to data science, so when you're doing data science, the first, set of libraries you're going to be exposed to is NumPy, pandas, because we're dealing with data, and these guys are used to manipulate data. NumPy is used for, numeric data, how to manipulate numeric data, and pandas is more like Excel version of, Excel version in Python, where you have the data frames, you can see your rows and columns, and manipulate your data, do grouping, missing values, stuff you can do basically in SQL, select from, do this, using conditional statement and the likes. All right. So now let's start with list, set, and dictionary comprehension for data manipulation. So, okay, so list, set, and dictionary comprehension are concise and readable ways to construct new sequence or data structures by transforming or filtering existing ones. So, is either you have it, you are creating your data in this form, or you have your data in another form and you're transforming it to either list. You can have your data in list, then transform it to a set, or have it in a set and transform it to a list. So that's why it's either you are transforming it from existing ones, or you are creating it using its the function itself. And this is important in data science and machine learning to manipulate large data set efficiently, because basically we deal with data in data science, basically in all fields, software development, software process, we deal with data. But for data science, it's even more straightforward. Like, we deal with data. Everything is about data, right? So, and you can say, this is the amount of data you're going to be dealing with. You may be dealing with a small data set, and may be dealing with a large data set. So you don't have to set your mind to a certain number of data sets. That's why this list and other expressions like the generator of large data sets we're going to be dealing with later on are very, very important in data science. All right. So, and so it helps to simplify code and reduce the number of lines of codes required for data manipulation. So, for example, when you want to add, so we're still going to get to the code, right? So when you want to add to the data, when you want to add an element to your list of data, so if you need to do that, writing codes on itself, maybe having more than 10 lines of codes, well, using list and some of its methods like pop, add. So it's just a single line of codes, and it does what your 10 lines of codes will be doing. So basically, these are inbuilt functions of Python, and that is why it's powerful in its form. All right, so we can read these. These are basically the properties of list. So it's an ordered collection of elements that can be of any type of data type. It could be number, string, Boolean, and any form of data type. And so lists are mutable. So you can add to it, you can remove from it, you can manipulate it. So meaning you can change and modify. And elements in lists can be accessed using their index. So when you have elements in lists, you can access them using their index number. Of course, we know array index starts from, so we can see list as an array, basically, because in Python, we use lists to identify or to create array. So you can see list as an array, and array number starts from 0, right? So we can use array index, so index to select element from the list. So lists are created using square brackets. So when you say square bracket, you should know, okay, this is a list. So another thing, it can contain duplicates. So the reason why we are stating it can contain duplicates is there is another data structure in Python that cannot contain duplicates. That is set. Yeah, so we also get there, and that's why we specifically identify or stated it can contain duplicates. All right, so this is an example of a list. So we have the variable fruits, and we define this in the list. So as you can see, this is a square bracket, and all these are what are elements. And the kind of data types we have here are basically they are what? A string, right? So we can also add other type of data type. We can add 7 or true or any other. So if I run this, All right, so I said, don't forget to, when you have access to this file, don't forget to make a copy of it so that you can modify, write your own code in another cell in case you want to try something else. So you can come here, file, and save a copy in Drive. So when you save a copy in Drive, so it creates a new tab for you, and right, so you can rename it. All right, so I'm using, okay. So these are first. So we print the fruit that you can see, and it gets it out. So the next one is list comprehension. So you can create a list. You can perform some manipulation with your list, using list comprehension. Basically, list comprehension is just, it will iterate over each element in your list and perform operation on the certain operation on them. So what we want to do now is we want to create a list of squares of even numbers from 1 to 10, using list comprehension. So we have this variable, squares of evens, and so we have, this is basically the operation we want to perform, right? So, and we are now saying for x in range 1 to 10, that's we're generating a number from 1 to 10. So now we are now saying if x, which is the number, after generating this now, we now have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It will not include the 11. I hope we know how range in Python works, right? It won't include that 11. It will generate from 1 to 10. So after we've generated that, we've generated 1 to 10, it's on ground, we've generated 1 to 10. Now we're now using this x, which is as our variable, which could be anything, right? It could be any name. So now say, okay, go over, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we're not using x. We're not using x to go over each of the item. So when you say x in range this, so x of 1, it checks this, we have 1, and it performs if x modulus 2. We know what this modulus is used for. So that's dividing and giving us the remainder, right? So basically that's why we check for if it's even or odd. So basically, if after dividing it by 2 is equals to 0, that means it's what? Is even, right? So we have this, we check for this, equals to 0. Is it equals to 0? So when we divide 1 divided by 2, will it remain, the remainder, will it be 0? So that means 1 is not an even number. So we do the same thing for all, then we get that. So now after we've done this, we now calculate, we now also do the the square root of that particular number. So if I return this, it gives us 4, 16, 36, 400. Do we understand? Can we move on from here? All right.
Yes.
Okay, so the next one is set. Okay, so and in list, we have methods. We have some methods in list, which I want us to maybe, I don't know if we can go over them now. So, we said is mutable. We can modify, we can perform some operations on it. We can add to it. We can remove from it. We can put in middle. We can append. We can pop. So one of the methods is, let's say, so I don't know if it has, if this guy has it. So I don't think it has. So we know we created this material for advanced, right? So that's why we did not include those methods. So, but let me just say, let's write it down. We can check methods of list. Methods of list. We have pop, append, add, remove. Yeah, so we can check them out. So when you check them on the internet, you will see how you can use them. Is basically using dots, for example, append into parentheses, and you put the value you want to append and the likes. Okay, so let's just move on so that we can cover. So that's for list. So the next one is set. So a set is an unordered collection of unique elements that can be of any type. It can also be of any type, and but it has to be unique. You can't have a duplicate element in set. So that's when you are working with a problem whereby you need to get out unique values. You can easily use sets. Let's say, for example, if we have a list of elements with duplicate values or with a lot of data types, and the task you need to do is get rid of the duplicate value. Instead of you writing your new algorithm to say, okay, for this, that, putting them in hash table, blah, 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 you can easily use set. So once you transform that data into a set, you convert it to a set, it automatically get rid of duplicate value. So but then need to worry about, okay, so what was the time complexity? What was the space complexity of using sets? You can research on that when it gets to software engineering, data structure, and the likes. So all right. So basically, it contains it's an unordered collection of unique elements that can be of any type, just as list. So sets are mutable as well. So meaning you can add to it, you can modify meaning that the element can be added or removed, and the element in the set cannot be accessed using their index. So that's what they have different. What they have, don't have in common with list. List, you can access the element using the index, right? But for list, you can't. You can't access the element using the index. You have to access the element with, using its element value itself. So you need to know the value you want to access before you can call it out. But for list, once you know the index number. So for example, now, so who can tell us what index number is this orange? 2. So we just call 2, and it will give us orange. All right. So now instead of square brackets, sets is we define sets using curly brackets, curly braces, right? Just as this. And so we have red, we have green, and we have blue. So if I call this out, so when you see something like this, you should know, okay, this is a set, and you can differentiate it from set and a list. All right, so the next one is we did list comprehension example. We gave a list comprehension example. Let's also do the same thing for set. So now I want to create a set of unique first letters of a list of names. So where we have names, Alice, Bob, Charlie, and Alice, and then we want to get the first letter of their name. So let me talk to the programmers in the house, right? Programmers in the house. So aside using this method, using list comprehension, so if you're given these tags, you have a list of this guy, you have a list of this, and you need to get the first letter of each of the elements in the list. What method will first come to your mind to use? Slicing. Yeah, slicing, each other method. So basically, we're also using slicing here, you can see. Yeah, it's slicing, accessing the first index of each of the elements. Which other method? Because the reason why I'm talking about another method is, as a programmer, as any engineer, software engineer, data engineer, after you're writing code, so another thing you should have at the back of your mind is the efficiency of that code you're writing. How fast is it going to be? Anybody can solve a problem, but will your problem be efficient enough to accommodate a large number of users? So you can solve a problem to be used by 10 users and boom, you'll be fine. The software will be working. Now, let scaling start happening. Okay, it's now, we now have 10 users, we have 100 users, we have 1,000 users. So you'll be like, the code is breaking. And you get to your code, you're working, it's working, you test it, it's working, but it's still breaking in production. So it's because the code is not efficient enough to accommodate a large number of users. Probably, something you should have used sets or a simple data structure to, to get the data or to store the data. You're now using for loop. So the for loop is now generating, more than 500 loops for each user. Now you now have 100 users. So each user is generating 20 loops. 20 loops times 500. It's going to, bombard your server. And sometimes what people do in production when they have that kind of issue is, they scale up the server, right? They increase the server resources, which is, spending more money. Where in case, and another, they can basically or easily go back to their code, optimize it, and right. So I'm just saying that, so when you're writing code, have the efficient, writing efficient code at the back of your mind, so that it won't be that you are writing code for your local machine alone. So we should write code that can be used in production, that can scale. It's also part of what makes a good engineer. All right. So basically, this is one of the best method to use, because we're asked to get unique letters, unique first letters, and set, we know set by default will help us eliminate duplicate number, duplicate elements in it, even though there are other methods that is more efficient than set in terms of the time complexity. So by using hash table, saving what, because by default set, I think it will take O of n. By default, O of n, it has to iterate through all the values to check if it exists before it can get it out. But using hash, it accesses O of 1 that's in a constant value. So that's just, optimizing code, but it works, right? It works. So, so what we're doing here is we have a list of elements, and we know that our list can contain duplicate values. But our task is, we want to get rid of the duplicate elements, and get the first letter out, the first letter of each element. So the first thing we did was we writing our comprehension in a set. You can see it's wrapped in a set, right? So wherever function or wherever compression we write get executed as a set, right? So what we are doing now is the variable here. This is the variable, right? So we have for name in names. That means we're iterating through each element, right? So that's what I'm saying. Now imagine you have 1,000 elements in this list, and the last element that is that contains duplicate is on the last one. So that means it has to run through up to the last before it can get the stuff out. But it still works, and it's also efficient in its own. So we're iterating through the list one after the other. So Alice, Bob, Charlie, and Alice. So after doing that, we're now getting the first index, the value of the first index of the element, which is name of 0. So that's slicing in Python. I believe we know that. So now it automatically takes this because this is index 0. You know, in string as well, is also, you can also slice it using index. And so basically we are now taking out A. This will take A, this will take B, C, and A. But because we've wrapped it inside a set, so that alias, the last alias, will get removed because it's now going to be unique. So if we print this out, we have BAC. All right, so a quick exercise. Now we want to get the first letter and the last letter. The first letter and the last letter, we want this to be AE, BB, CE, right? So how do we slice that? Instead of getting the first index, we want to get the first and the last. Semicolon, like that. Are you sure?
So -1, -1, -1.
-1. So what is this doing? Take the first and the last, right? So what? Okay. Is it okay now? So what was it called? Slicing. You know, when you get to, especially when you want to do, when you want to manipulate string or data that you don't know how it's formed, and you want to use slicing for it, it can be challenging, especially when you want to use a comprehension, when you want to use maybe list comprehension or set comprehension for it. It can be, you know, you're not start doing, okay, what is, so we want to get A and E. How do we do it? I want everybody to contribute because we are programmers. A. So if we do this, this will take it from the first index up to the last index in that string. But what we want to get is the first and the last. And we don't know the index number of the last. So at the moment we know the index number of the last, we can say, okay, get, let's say we want to get this. We can say just get this and do this. We say, okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You just say 4. Then that is, we know the value of the last, but the name, my own is Ibrahim, your own is Bob. So the number, the length is different, right? So so how do we get this? Another double square bracket. Then I'll put -1. Inside like this. Are you sure? I'm doing what my guy is telling me. I'm doing what that's nested is already. That's nested, but we are not doing nested now. Sir? We don't want to come, we want to use slicing. Okay. Okay, instead I should put there, comma, -1. Okay, so he said I should do it this way. This is nested this already. It will work, right? Let's try it. It says string indexes must be integer. Or you want to we should do this. It said invalid syntax. Doesn't work. -1. Okay, comma -1. It says string indexes must be integer. Is that? I should give expo. All right, so basically we can just do it this way. We can ChatGPT. So we can just do multiple slicing, instead of we having it in because we don't know the length of each of them. So we can just say, okay, get the first one and get the last one. So how do we identify the last one? -1. No. Okay, could it be because we are wrapping it inside set already? Yeah. Okay, yeah, it will see it as that. So if we want to do that, we will take the variable again. We want to just say AE. Or we will use F string, but we don't want to use F string. We don't want to use concatenate. Are in between. So that's concatenating. So as it said nested for. So I said initially that we don't have the knowledge of the length of of the name or of the. So it's going to be hard for us to use to get the first one and say, okay, this is the last one we want to get. So basically, concatenation will be the best bet to use in this case. All right, so all right, so can we move on now? Okay, so we've treated list and set. So the next one is dictionary. Okay, so dictionary is the third one of list and set. So a dictionary is an unordered collection of key value pairs, meaning it has a key and then the value. So where each key is unique and associated with a value. So the key itself is unique, but the value could be, we can have multiple, the same values for each unique value. And dictionaries are mutable, so we can add to it. We can also modify. An element in the dictionary can be accessed using their keys. So this one is even simple now. They have a key already, so just use the key to get out the value. And dictionaries are created using curly braces, just like sets. But the difference now is there will be a key and a value in that curly braces. Okay, and so do not contain duplicates, only unique keys. Dictionaries are commonly used to represent mappings between different objects, such as mapping between names and ages. So ODIC functions, so yeah, it also doesn't contain duplicates. That's the key, doesn't contain a duplicate. All right, so okay, yeah, so we have this. We have so this is how to to have a dictionary. We have Alice. This is the key, and this is the value. This is the key. This is the value, and this value could be string. It could be any data type. And this. So we print this out. So we have. So now let's look at how we can also do a dictionary comprehension. So we want to create a dictionary with values doubled for all odd keys in a range. So we want to create a dictionary with values doubled for all keys in a range. So we want to create a range for the key and then double it, right? So just as we did for list earlier, the same function, right? So we are multiplying it by 2. So for x in the range 1 to 10, so if x is not, now this time around, if it is not equals to 0, right? If it is not equals to 0, so that's when it should make x to be this, right? So it replaces this x with this, and then it does it for each of the iteration elements that it encounters during the iteration. So in this case, the iteration is just going to be between 1 and 10. So if I run this now, so we have 1, 2, the value of this is 2. So when it gets here, it is 3. So it's this, this plus this is 2. So this plus this is 6, and this plus this is, the key multiplied by itself, multiplied by 2 to give the next element. All right, so can we move on now? All right, so the next one is tuple. So tuple is also an ordered collection of elements that can be of any type similar to list. So but just the difference between tuple and list is tuple is immutable. You can modify, you can add to it. Basically that's it. So tuple are immutable, meaning that the elements cannot be changed. So you use tuple, for a kind of data that you want to secure in kind of, so you don't want it to be modified. So you just take this data, okay, put it in. So basically in Python, so use it for lock. So you use it to lock your data. So when you lock it inside tuple, so even if you perform, operation on that data, it won't have effect. So it's just a throwing error, right? So elements in tuple can be accessed using their index, similar to a list. And tuple are created using parentheses, and they can contain duplicates, just like a list as well. So tuples are commonly used to group related data together. So when you want to ensure the values cannot be changed accidentally, so you say, okay, this data, I don't want anything to happen to it, so you put it inside inside the tuple. So create a tuple of student names and their corresponding age. So basically, as I said, you have it as a tuple. So and inside the tuple, you can create the value. So you can have its tuple value on its own in different elements, and you can also have it in another tuple by creating a value and a key and a value. So we want to print the first element, which is 0 of 0. So that will be Ali. So we want to do 1 of 1, which is this. So we'll do. So we want to do 1 of 1. So we want to get the value of this. So we can get the 25 and the same manipulation all around. So just, oh, sorry. Yeah, so just so that's for tuple. All right. So the next one is so now let's loop through the tuple and print out each element. So we know how for loop works in Python. So basically what we want to do is we want to loop through what is inside this tuple and then print out the element. So we say for student in student, that is our tuple. So we create a variable name and age. We can create this variable in Python, so double variable using separate commands, and we assign the student to it. So we print the name and the age out from our tuple over here, right? So So this is also the result out from the list. Can we move on? All right. So knowledge of list, set, and dictionary on data frame. So now let's look at some examples. An example of how you could use lists, sets, and dictionaries with data import, data imported to pandas from an Excel. And we don't have this file. So so basically, what we can do is we drop it to that same WhatsApp group, and they upload it to their Google Drive. Do you have a drive for subsequent use? So you can drop the file on the drive then. I think there are other files that are needed. There is one also, I think I saw one large file. There are 15 files though. Titanic is what? We don't have it. Okay, I think there are just two. One, sir. Yes, sir. Abuno. Okay, there's another on titanic.csv. There's another file, Titanic. I think we have tested.csv, large files.csv, titanic.csv. There are 14. There are another one, data. Abono will take care of it. So while we wait for Abono, we can continue with some. Sir?
I've done talk to the WhatsApp already. You don't see.
I don't have access. I don't know.
You know the WhatsApp group.
I don't know how to add me so WhatsApp. Okay.
Okay, we have to drive now, right?
Okay, maybe you should send me the drive. Oh, okay.
Yeah. We have the link now, right? We drive. What's the 5 minutes there, right?
Okay. Yeah, I've seen it. I've not seen it though. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah, I can. I've seen the file. I've seen the file. I've seen the drive file, yeah. Okay, so what I will do now is so the first one is tested. So I want to work with tested. Okay, so let me see. So do you have access to the file now? All right, so we need to, so before we can access that file in Colab, so we need to mount our Google Drive, then get the link. One sec. So are we on the same page? So have we mounted our drive? Okay, so we are reading this this data. So we're reading this data, tested data. So we're reading that tested data from our drive. So what I did was I mount my drive first. After mounting the drive, I tried to add that folder, that folder, add a shortcut to my drive so that I can have access to it after mounting my drive. So then I get there and I create it, I click copy the link. So we have some exercises for. So, but what we are using this guy basically to do is to create a list of unique columns. So if we look at this guy, so we can have some duplicate columns or duplicate values there. So basically what we want to do is so from this code, we import pandas. So pandas is what will enable us to read CSV file. So I'm not sure if this will read it because this is not CSV. This is not CSV. Huh? The link. Okay, the link, I I right click on this file and I copy parts. Yeah, from where I start today. Yeah, content drive. So you must have add that to shortcuts. Okay. Yeah. Is it? You need to run that cell. Yeah, just run it. Just run the cell. So we're even having an issue now. I'm not sure. The file is a Google Sheet, and I don't think I can rename it from here. So another thing is this file is is the Google Sheet, all right? And Pandas can only read CSV, and for us to read Google Sheets, so we need to start, import another library that can do Google Sheet and download the service file, which is to authenticate the file. So that's going to be a lot of process for us. So I don't know. Can someone do something for us? Download this file, help us convert it to a CSV, and re-upload it back to the drive. It's not working. It's Google Drive, yeah. Eh? Yeah, because that's okay. You can download that CSV and help us upload it back as CSV. Yeah, a new so that it won't mess. Yeah, exactly. It's a new folder. Thank you. It works. Week 1, 2. Okay, you've created a folder. Okay. Yeah, good morning. Is it inside AI Saturdays? I can't see it though. Okay. All right, week 1, 2. All right. So kindly help us do for other files as well. So this now, if I come back here, this should reload. It works now. Okay. My own is not here yet. It's intermediate now. Okay, it's not there. Okay, so are we on the same page now? All right, so this works now. Hello, are we on the same page? So have we been able to get the new file? So it has been re-uploaded into folder week 1, 2. So you can pick the file there, just copy the path, and then paste it here. All right, so basically what we're doing here is we're creating a list of unique columns name from, so we are reading the file into variable df, that's data frame, and then we create a column. So we are converting that column to a list. So we're getting the column, df.column, we convert it to a list, which is there, columns. Then the unique column, we put it in set. So we can either do it as like this, or we do it like this. You said? Yes, it will remove the duplicate columns. Yeah. All right, so after doing that, then we create a dictionary for column types. So we have the types, we created an empty dictionary. So from the empty dictionary, so we say for column in unique column, Then from column, in unique column, the column from the type, that is, we are accessing the dictionary now. So we're now putting the column there. So what we are now putting, we are converting it to a string. So we are getting the column and then the data type. So this will just give us the data type of all those columns. So basically what we are accessing, this types column means we're creating a variable. That variable, which is column, we are putting it inside an empty dictionary we created. This is an empty dictionary. So we are putting this column inside it. So whenever we add an element, it goes into that empty dictionary. So what are we now putting inside the empty dictionary? So we are getting the column of each of the data frame, and we are checking the data type. So this is how to do that. So for example, if I have column name with name, and I want to check data type, so in using pandas, I will just do D type. So this will tell me the data type either is string, number, boolean, or the like. So basically, that's what we are doing with this line of code, right? So and after, what function? No, data type. That's what we are checking. We are checking that, and that is what we are doing here. So the reason why it's complex is we don't know the column we are checking. So we are checking the column dynamically. So we have the columns we are checking are here, are inside these unique columns. So we now use this column to iterate over each column inside that column. So for every column you check, for every item in that unique column you check the data type. So how do we check data type? You know, these are variables we are using to check now. So, and that variable, we know that it's coming from a data frame, which is this one. And by default, we know it's already in a data frame form, so we can perform any data frame data type methods on it, data type, a missing column, and the like. So what we are now doing now is we are now checking using a method which is data type to check for this column inside this. So, and after checking it, we are converting it to a string so that it will output as a string, because when you check D type alone, it will output as an object. So we're now converting it to a string, and that's why we're having this. So after we've done all those, so we just print out all the variables we've listed out, and it gives it out. Do you understand? Okay. Yeah. So Python has it. Python has its own. Python own is type. So for pandas is D type. That's the method. So print out the results. So that's what we have. So this is the column names, the unique column names, the column types. And you see the name is an object, the embark is an object, the patch is an integer, this and up to the last one. Do we get that? Everyone? No confusion? No confusion. All right. Okay, so yeah, so we are now getting to set exercises. So let's do some exercises on sets. So given two sets, so we want to find their intersection. So how do we find their intersection given two sets? So let's say we have I want to create two sets. So let's say we have set 1 to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we have set 2 to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we want to find the intersection. Anyone? Are we together? We are now, okay, this exercise is for us. So now let's do it. We want to find the intersection. The intersection, the union, the subset of another set of numbers. We want to find the maximum, set of strings. We want to find the longest, the symmetric difference. We want to remove all even numbers from it. We want to remove duplicate from it. We want to find the differences, their difference, and check if it is empty. Or should we just move on and we can do this on our own? We should try it. All right, so let's try it. So let's assume this is the two sets we have. So the first one, intersection. So how do we get the intersection? Are we together? I'm not sure we are together. Are we trying it? So that intersection is it's a set method. So basically it's just to get the joint, where the two numbers intersect. So basically of this the set 1 and set 2. So you have access to the internet. You can check the method of intersection, set intersection method. That's how it works. Just check the method for intersection. So I'm just creating, I don't think we don't have it. So that's why I created the sample set. This should give us the intersection. Okay. So we have both beginners and Abono. We have both beginners and no, I mean on the Zoom. Okay, just on the just so I was saying so beginner section.
They should be in the beginner section. Okay. Okay, I can see your number.
Oh, people already online are already attempting the intersection. All right, this is correct. Sir? Okay.
I said for I in this is I and to give me the intersection.
Well, you're using, there is a method you can use. There is a set method. Yeah, there is a set method called intersection, just to basically get this. So that actually works. So probably it's most likely the underlying algorithm for intersection as well. So I never knew people online were even contributing in that chat box. Sorry, the chat section. So I'm with you guys now, so I can see your comment and as we move. Okay. So now let's try the next. So the next one. So someone tried intersection and union, and that is how it works. So what about check if it is a subset of another set? People online are already attempting. Someone attempted intersection and the union from people that joined virtually. We are proud of them. Mode one of what time are we supposed to finish?
You can put it too, right?
Normally it should be what before?
With your face now.
No. I know what we'll do is I will just leave the exercises for us to attempt.
They're like in this workbook, they're like, I'm sure nothing less than.
There are a lot of exercises.
Not less than 50 exercises.
So, and funny enough, some of those exercises are just the use of methods. Use of, for example, all this now. The first one, this is a method. Set method is a set method. This also is a set method. Even this is a set method. Remove duplicate is a set method. Even though you can write your own algorithm to perform that, just like someone did here. Instead of using intersection, he wrote a for loop, for the intersection, and it works. So, so not to spend much time on the exercises. We'll just leave it for us to to attempt later, and we'll move on to the next one. All right. So
Because sometimes you think you understand, but now you can't get to this exercise. I didn't get this in class very well. Okay.
All right. So the next one is we want to move to map, filter, and reduce functions. So 1 second, sorry. So a map function works like an iterator to return results, right? So, and both map, filter, reduce functions are built-in functions in Python that allow you to perform operations on sequences or iterables. So on data structure like list, set, dictionary, and tuple, right? So it's just instead of using your own iteration method, codes to do the iteration. So you can use map. It will iterate it for you and also gives you the results. So you iterate the method, gives you the results, and you can perform the action or the operation you want to do within that operation. We'll get there. So, and this is important in data science and machine learning to process data quickly, right? So we have a bunch, lot of data. So it performs, it performs the iteration and then gives you the result based on the operation or the operation you are passing, and data quickly and efficiently. So map, filter, reduce functions can be used to transform data, filter out unwanted elements, and also aggregate data into a single value. Another thing about some of the built-in functions in Python or basically in other programming languages are they are built or they are programmed to be efficient, right? But it depends on the problem you want to use it to solve. So most of their methods, the set, either the list method, the set method, the map method, the filter method, are programmed to be efficient. So in terms of the complexity, time and space, they are built to, to be efficient. But it depends on the problem you want to use it to solve. So if, for example, you have, a set in Python, and you have a problem whereby you want to get rid of a duplicate element and also perform some other operations. If that your data or other operations you want to perform, you're going to be storing more. You're going to be storing more. You're going to be storing more values, keeping more values ahead. Then some of those methods can be or might be bad in terms of the space complexity for you to use because it's going to eat up a lot of space. And most of the time, or starting from the beginning, we don't always get to see the effect of all this complexity because we are working with minimal data, this data. But by the time it starts getting scaled, so we know that, oh, this thing is eating up my memory, this thing is eating up my space and the like. So I don't know if anybody has done Java before, Java programming language. So you know how we deal with memory issues and and the like. So because of using some inappropriate functions and the like, so you can easily run out of memory when you are not using or making use of the efficient algorithm that it needs to be. So I'm just saying those inbuilt functions are good. They are efficient, good to use, but you should always know when to apply them depending on the solution or the problem you want to use it to solve. All right. So, and map function, filter, and reduce function are commonly used in data science for data manipulation and processing. So here are some examples of how these functions can be applied in data science context. So even though we use them in engineering as well, map, filter, we use them in engineering, mostly when we're building libraries for data use or for data ecosystem use. So make use of these to map, filter, and reduce function where it's necessary. All right, so map function for data transformation. So we want to start with map. Map function can be used to transform data in a data frame or series. Okay, do we know the difference between data frame and series? Anyone? Yeah. Yeah, it does the column. So any other person, I want to straight another. Yeah, that's it. That's the practical. The question is the difference between data frame and series. So there is something we want to talk about: transformation of data in a data frame or series. Okay. You say either? Yeah, rows and columns. Yeah. What about series? Yeah. So you wanted to say something? Yeah. So where that is when when we start doing. So admin we started with data frame and series or 2D, 1D. So we have mentioned. So series is just a 1D dimension, while data frame is a matrices 2D dimension. So as I said, data frame is a bunch of series, right? Yeah, that's exactly. So now, so let's say we have a data frame containing the height of students in meters, and we want to convert the height to feet. We have data frame containing the height of students in meters, and we want to convert the height to feet. So the first thing is we import our pandas as PD. So another question I want to ask is, okay, so I believe you're not asking me that question because you know what it is. Import pandas as PD. What does that mean? Is that? Okay. Alias. So now moving since we started importing pandas, we'll be using PD. So do you have any question regarding that? Why PD? Why PD? Yeah. PD. Okay, so why don't you say, okay, why not just P or PS instead of PD? Why that PD? Yeah, so it has become a standard convention. So even when you start reading someone's code, there is this popular joke that when you want to confuse an intern or an engineer coming up, maybe you are the former engineer and you've written some code and you want to confuse, so you just start saying by doing import pandas and NP, import pandas as so is that so because it has become standard convention. Even when you write import pandas as something else, someone might say this your code is wrong, and the real sense is not wrong. It's just so that's what I want to. So and also the same thing with numpar as NP, the likes. So now we create a data frame of height in meters. So what data set is this? Data type is structure is this? I mean structure dictionary, right? Because we have the key and then the value. So, but there is something you need to note here. This value is in what data type? What list, right? So we just these are the things we need to be when you are read. Is that? This is not Jason. This is J-Man. J-Father, exactly. All right, so we have the height in a list. We have 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, and 1.9. So that is in a list. So we don't want to use map function. Now, as I said earlier, it's just for attribute. I mean data structure. Yeah. It's still data type. No, I mean, okay, okay, what if I say the data type of the element in the list? That's when you say Boolean. Sorry, that's when you say floats. Yeah. So this is list, and inside the list we have elements, and these elements are floats. Yeah. So so now we use the map function to convert the height to feet. So basically, we we have the map, which is for iterating over elements, and is not iterating only, is iterating and applying a function. And that is why we have lambda. So it will iterate to over, it will iterate it and then apply it. So if we want to write these ourselves, so we start by saying, writing a for loop for blah, blah in this and blah, blah, blah. Then we write our, after writing our condition, then we write our statement. We write the statement, then we print it out. But this it's written in a straight line. It's iterating those elements and also applying the function. Okay, so we have height. So what we want to do is we want to convert the height to feet. So and we have this formula. So to say so lambda x to say so for x. So we are now defining this x to be each of these values. So for each of those values, multiplied by this, then put it inside height. So this guy will turn to the multiplication of this. So instead of writing, okay, let me give, or we can try this out. Instead of using map, let's use for loop and then apply the statement. We can note that. Probably you can try it. So these are the advantages and of using map. So you're having a single line of code and it's efficient. It's efficient because it's an inbuilt function. It's just one line. So instead of you having for loop blah blah blah, at least we want to do this in for loop. You have about 5 lines or want to say something? Okay. All right. So after doing that, so after mapping it, we apply these this function to this x. So if we run this now, right? So we now have this x, which is each of these, to be this is the height, to be 4, to be the that times that will give us this x times this will give us this. So as this 1.6 times this guy will give us this for it's same thing for the rest. So, but you should note something. How many columns do we have here? 2 columns. Which one and which one? But there is one other one at the last. Yeah, that's the index. That's the index. So, but we can also modify that index. We can do that. All right. Okay. So in the above example, we are using map function to apply the lambda function. So we have the function, so we are applying that function to what the map has already iterated for us, and we apply the map, function to it. So function to each element in height blah blah blah, storing the result in a new column called height fit. It iterates, apply the function, and create a new list for you. So I want us to try that. I want us to try this map function with a for loop. Probably maybe after the end, or you can try it on your own. These are ways to know how algorithm, underlying algorithm works in some of these functions, because you might also want to do something similar, and the function itself, won't be the best bet for you. So you just need to write your own for loop and your own algorithm basically. All right. So the next one is a filtering function for data filtering. So the filter function is also going over the iteration, applying the function and giving another output of a new result, of a new output. So the filter function can be used to filter data in a data frame or series based on a condition. So for example, let's say we have a data frame containing the ages of students, and we want to filter out students who are under 18. So that condition we want to put here will serve as our what? As the function we are applying, right? Am I communicating? So that condition will serve as the function we're applying to the filter, right? So we're creating a new data frame of age, blah, 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 26, 17, 25, 16, and 18. So we want to use the filter function to keep only students who are 18 or older. So basically this is our function. That is the function, which is the condition, right? As I said earlier, the condition is the function we are applying. So we say, okay, x, which is what we are using to iterate, we are putting it inside this new variable, ages over 18. So we say, apply this age, ages get this age, which is getting it from here. Apply lambda function x, apply that's iterating over 8. So x, if x, basically what it's saying is if x is greater or equals to 18, so that's when it should, that's the kind of age it should filter, should get out and put it in a new output and give us. So if we run this now, so we have 20, 25, 18. So it has removed 17 and 16 because they are, they are lesser than 18. Are we together? Are we getting it? Is it flowing? No confusion? All right. Yeah, because this is the data frame. This is the data frame, and inside the data frame, we're also accessing the age from data frame. So this ages is our variable, right? So and from these ages, we need to access age from the data frame of ages, which is serving as our data frame, right? So after doing that, then we apply it. So that's why we are wrapping it inside. So basically, this wrapping is from here. So it's just even this is the variable, and this guy is what we are applying in terms of our accessing of data frame from column from the data frame. So by default, when we do this, when we do pd.dataFrame of this dictionary, what are we trying to do? We are creating data frame. That means we are converting that dictionary to something that will be a row and column. So now after doing that, so we have access to say, okay, this age has become a column, right? So that's why we are able to access it. All right, so this is the example. In the above example, we are using the apply function to apply the lambda, that lambda function to each element in the age column of the ages data frame, and using filter function to keep only the rows where the condition is true. Okay, so before we go ahead, I want to ask a very simple question, a practical question, because I believe one way or the other, we've done something in production, like something that we've done and it has been used by end user, or we've even tried something, probably an assignment or something. So this function that we just applied now, this conditional function. So has there been a situation or a time where you need to solve this similar problem and you make use of another method? What kind of method did you use? Is there any? Do you get the question? Is there any? Sir? Create function, dev. You even created function. Some people will not even create function. Some people will not even create function. So any other person. So you created the function, then you start writing your for loop, then to solve the problem. So the question was using this apply function, right? To apply a lambda function, after iterating apply lambda function and get the results, in a straight line, simple, efficient. So has there been a time when you're building something, an assignment or something for production, that you need to solve this kind of problem? It could be in Python or any other languages, and you couldn't find a simple method like this to use. So you had to write your own algorithm. So how did you write it? Huh? Okay.
And you use all these logical operators like or and equal to greater to filter.
So basically, you are creating your own function, right? Basically, to perform the okay. Okay. So that's broadcasting, right? You're talking about something like broadcast. So that's a method of pandas. So it's possible. It's a method in Panda. It's possible. That's broadcasting using. In pandas you can use conditional structure statements. You can do if this thing of this column. Yeah, it's possible. So, but what we are doing here is we are doing map. To do so that is possible, perfectly possible. So, but what you need to just look at is, okay, is it efficient? When you're dealing with a lot of data, will it be able to undo the likes? But it's possible. Using pandas is very powerful. When you have pandas, you can even, when you have pandas and you need to do something similar to querying, like using SQL, blah blah. Pandas can do everything. All you need to do is just have your data. You can even get your data from SQL, get your data from any source, and use pandas to perform a lot of. It's very powerful. It's one of the most powerful libraries in Echo data system because it's because it was built on C. It was built on C. It makes it more faster and robust. And the same thing, I think they have this something similar to in our program. So it's very powerful. When some people that are data analysts in Python, this is what they use. So what they just add to their data analysis is visualization, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and the likes. But for the analysis, pandas, it's just. So when they need to use NumPy, maybe when they need to generate something, to multiply, is that random numbers, and to what do we call it? So that's. But pandas is so powerful. So you can check out the framework. Sorry, the documentation. It's very, very powerful. It has a lot of methods that even when you use them, you'll be like, because I've actually done something where I had to write, some functions, more functions to solve a problem or to do something. And I later found out that because what I do is after writing, if it's to solve a quick problem, so I don't try to find. So I try to say, okay, what I can do at fast, easy. So I do that. I later found out that there is there is a func method in Panda that is so easy. It's just a line. Just apply it and it will do it for. And another thing is efficient. To a very large extent, is efficient. So any library you want to use, please have the the documentation in your bookmark. So that when you need to solve anything, go to the documentation. It's and one thing about those documentations they are once you know what you want to do and you see documentation, that's it. You will be able to once you know what you want to solve, like the problem, the solution, all you need to do is code it out, right? Just go to the documentation. By the time you are reading, during the documentation reading, they will tell you what it will do, and what the solution you've provided in your mind, it's already what you are reading out. So you just pick it and they will even tell you how to use it. Blah, blah, blah. And so documentation is very important. Read documentation for pandas, for NumPy, and for Python itself, right? So it's very, very it's helpful and important. Okay, so the next one is reduce function for data aggregation. So is there any question so far?
Under the data stream, I wrote my site
create pages greater than 18. So what it does is was there will be two force. These are the data frame.
Okay, I didn't actually get it. Well,
Yes, yeah, it was a question that asked before. It did not put those conditions.
okay, it's not applying it to the data frame itself. Okay, so you're not applying to the data frame itself. So that's why it's giving you the result in Boolean because you're just yeah. Okay. All right, so link to the resources. Sorry, which resources? Is it the document? Excuse me. The documentation, the pandas documentation and the like. Yeah, you can just check it, pandas documentation online to take it out. But I will try and drop, see if I can. See, let's check it. All right, so we can say it's in my bookmark. So it's always in my bookmark. It's always in my bookmark. So so I come, okay. Another thing about documentation is when you are the type that is familiar with documentation, you get to easily know when they have new, the new versions are out. So you can say, okay, because for every new versions, is either they're adding new functions or they're adding a better way or how those functions works, because there is no perfect, even the most perfect system is not perfect. So they always try to improve, the system. So this is Panda's documentation. You have all the possible methods you want to evaluation difference, and so the same thing with series. So they have Pandas with series as well. So let me just I will drop this on the group, and also, well, it's something we can, easily check online. So, okay, so okay, today's tutorial, is it the notebook, Mr. Okoya? Are you talking about the notebook? Okay, I'm waiting for your response, Mr. Okoya. All right, so
Sorry, what was it?
Unfortunately, I cannot hear you because my mic is already, I can only speak, I can't hear, like from this, I can only speak to the mic, I cannot hear. So you can just type it. So someone from the virtual is trying to ask a question. So I was asking, you were asking for the material. Is it the notebook material we're using now, or which material are you talking about? All right. So the next one is reduce function for data aggregation. Send the notebook then. Let me share my screen again. I got disconnected. So I don't know. Excuse me. Yeah, I think the session is being recorded, so after the class you'll get it, hopefully. No. So, Mr. Okoya, the link to the notebook has been dropped in the group. Let me drop it again. All right, so for the reduce function, so it's the same thing. So the only difference is this one uses folding or reduce function to apply the lambda function, so that when it's giving the output, it's giving it as a cumulative. It's given as a cumulative result. So the reduce function can be used to aggregate data in data frame or series. For example, let's say we want to have a data frame containing the height of student in meters, and we want to find the average height, right? So it will give us the output, but it will now be in cumulative, something like average cumulative of those. So for example, we have, so it has its own library in Python. So it's from function tools. So we import reduce. So we create this pandas framework of this, and so we apply this lambda function inside the reduce function. This is the reduce function itself, right? And inside the reduce function, we are applying this lambda function. So what are we doing? So we are defining x and y as our variable for each of we are getting two value at a time from the list, and we are adding them together. So after adding these two together, we are now dividing it by the main value of the height. So that's the length of the height. So that's the count of 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the length of. So we are saying this plus this. So this plus this divided by 4. This plus this divided by 4. So are we together? Right, so you can see instead of having it for all of the list, it comes out as a cumulative value instead of having it as this and this, this and this. So it comes as a cumulative. That's the reduce function. So in the above example, we are using the reduce function to apply the lambda xy x plus y function to each element in the height column of the height data frame, and then dividing the result by the length of data frame and find the average length as a cumulative. It's not clear. Okay, this is x, this is y, this is another x, this is another y. So x and y is like the variable we are using for the iteration. Yeah, the number of the element. Yeah, the value of that element. Yeah. Okay. We can use. Okay. You know, what we are talking about now is all these things can be solved with methods in pandas, right? But we are dealing with another function, a reduce function. So those things we can do height.sum then divided by the length. Or we can even there is another function that's even average, I guess, that can even give us this result as O instead of going through this. Yeah, so x plus y is after we can define multiple variable, in Python, x, comma, then y. So that's in a parallel form, right? So and then we use those two variables to iterate the values, the element in the list. So and during the iteration, x iterate over 1.7, it saves it. Y iterate over the next value, the two together divided by the length of the size of the height itself. Then we get the average as a cumulative. I don't know if I'm okay.
because they are incomplete. What if they are all and if they are fine, it's fine. The first one is 1.6 plus 1.7. And the next one that 1.8 plus 1.9.
No. X go over this, and this saves the value. Y also go over this, saves the value. Add the two together, divided. Okay, this is X. X iterate over Y, iterate over this separately. So that's X itself now contains 1 plus 6, 1 plus 1.7 plus 1.8 plus 1.9 as a value. Y also the same thing. The two added together, divided by the length. So after dividing by the length, it will give us something higher than 1.7. But because we are using reduce as an apply function, it will reduce it as an accumulative of, it will reduce it by accumulating all these values, all the numbers, the number of values we've calculated together, and then give us the cumulative value in a reduced apply format. So let me see if I can. 1, 2, 3, 4 is 4, yeah. The length will be 4. It's not adding. Wait, let me see if I can find another example.
Sum it together, that summation will have a new X and pick the third one as a Y. It will add it together again to give it that one new X and pick the next one.
We can move on, right? All right. Okay, so we have exercise for class. Yeah, we have exercise for class. Given a list of temperatures and sections, use the map function to convert them to Fahrenheit. Should we submit this? Right? Should everyone try this and submit? Against next class, yeah, but you should submit before the next class. So what's the mode of submission? And including the previous ones, everything, all the exercises. All the exercises. Is that what? You have light issues. Nigeria or Buhari? Okay, so well, we need to try it. We need to try it. And so what will be the mode of submission? Okay, this is it. So you create a collab file for yourself with your name, assignment week 1, right? And then you share the collab with my email, right? Okay, so my email is ibrahimolagoke165@gmail.com. Sorry, Olagoke Ibrahim rather. Let me write it. Okay, okay. All right, so basically, the assignment is just to track our process, and I'm very sure, just as this my brother make use of one method the other time, we might see different methods to solve this problem. So we look at it together. I will look at it. I hope I can look at everything. And the thing is, they are not the same. Yeah, they are not the same. For example, the first one, we make use of intersection, and another one is union. The third one is different. So it's not like a mathematics problem solving, right? So it's different. So it just requires us to do a little, devote the time and do a little research. Okay, what is intersection? How do I do intersection? Then you do it. So if you have multiple ways of solving it, please put it there, right? Just put it there. So moving forward in some of our classes, we'll see how we can compare two algorithms together in terms of the time complexity and the space complexity, so that you can know that, okay, even after you provided a solution to a single problem, you provided maybe 3 solutions to a single problem, you can use them to say, okay, which one is the best, right? So you can say which one is the best in terms of time complexity, space complexity, and so you know which one you can trade for each other, because in most cases, one solution will be better in terms of time complexity, the other one will be bad in so you know, okay, am I ready to trade the space, the space memory for the time, or ready to trade this for that? So it's very important in engineering process anyway. Okay, so so I've dropped my email in the group. Okay, so as I said, we have about 50 or more than that exercises, and we should try it. So this is what will give us, yeah, that's what you said. We actually did intersection and union. So that's what I was saying, that they are not the same. For example, the intersection is making use of a method intersection, and union is making use of a method union. So the third one is also making use of a method. So as we are doing it, we're already solving. So it's different, solutions. For example, now this list of temperature Celsius. This is for map, and convert them to French. So you just generate the data, and so you can, when you are solving it, you have any question on the group, drop it. So maybe in the process of solving it and you are having issues, so you can drop it on the group, and we'll see how we can do this. So the next one is generator expressions for large data set. So generator expressions are a memory efficient way to process large data sets, one element at a time. And this is important in data science and machine learning when dealing with data sets that are too large to fit into memory at once. Generator expressions can be used to process data on the fly without loading the entire data set into memory. So you have 2 gig memory of your server. Okay, you have 8 gig of your resources, and the accumulative of the data you want to upload is about 6 gig or 7 gig at once. I know the way uploading or downloading works is, so when you initiate the uploading or the downloading of data, the first thing it does is it calculates the amount. It gets the amount of that file, right? Get the amount of that file, and then look for the resources if there is availability or the available resources to be used. So the moment it finds the available resources, it's been allocated, even though it has not been used, but it's been allocated. Okay, so you want to upload 8 gigabyte data set. Okay, it checks the number. Okay, this is 8 gigabytes. I've gotten the value of data sets. Now I'm checking for the resources on your system. Is it up to 8 gig? Okay, it's up to 8 gig. Then it allocates that 8 gig to that resources and start the uploading. So by default, it has taken all the resources, even though it has not finished using the resources, right? So, and if you want to upload the same 8 gig and you have less than that resources, it will tell you that it's not possible, even though it can do it chunk by chunk. And that is where generator expressions of large data sets comes in. So if you have 8 gig resources and you even want to upload 100 gig data, right? You can do it chunk by chunk, maybe 10 megabytes for each element. After the first element is done, it's just basically the 10 megabyte memory. Maybe we can convert it to maybe 1 gig, for example, or 100 megabytes, it allocates. So once the first element is done processing, it won't allocate another resource. It's basically just make use of that same resources as long as the amount of that size is still the same. Compared to 8 gig, check the resources, it's 8 gig, allocate it, and then uploading. So even if you want to do any operation or any execution as low or as lesser than as 1 megabyte, it will tell you out of memory. I believe we get that error a lot. Timeout. That timeout, it's out of memory. It's because it's not that your memory is actually done, but the one allocated for that at that particular time, it can move anymore. You can just say you want to increase the timeout, which will exhaust your resources. So now let's see how we can use a generator expression. So generator expression is so when dealing with data sets that are too large to fit into memory all at once, so you can use this to process the data on the fly without loading the entire data set into the memory. So to expand on this, a generator expression is similar to a list comprehension, which we did earlier in syntax. It's similar to list comprehension in syntax, but it returns a generator object instead of a list. So it will return a generator object instead of a list. So a generator object is an iterator that generates the next element of a sequence on the fly. So when one element is done, so even if it is large, it's chunk it into elements. When one is done, it moves to another element. When another element is done, it moves to another element till chunk by exactly. Exactly. So memory, yes. Yes, while you are still working on the old data set. You know what we are used to is using, so supplying the data at once. So we just leave it and we go. But we can actually use it in chunk. Though when it comes to when it comes to maybe building of models, you might not be able to do that because you want your model to train on all the data at once, right? So that with that, it requires a lot of memory. Even if you split it, your splitting is just for cross-validation. Yeah, your splitting is just to test your unseen data, right? And that's even cause for debate because some people will say, okay, you have 100, let's say 100% data, right? And we know that the more the data, the more your model becomes better. Now you are now giving 30% to test data. You are using 70 to train. We have this 30 already. Why not use everything to train? But by using everything to train, you'll be blindfolded on how your model is performing, right? So if it's overfitting or the likes, but we get there. So I believe there is a technique one can use for that. So basically, the techniques is just one of the techniques. You reduce the number of, for example, the number of iteration you're performing on it, like the airport, you reduce the number of time it will iterate through over each row, or you I think just increase your computation resources here. So you just increase your compute. Basically, that's it. Data processing. Yes. Yeah. Is it? You can store the process data in, I don't understand. Okay, can you save it and probably maybe redo it chunk by chunk again? I'm not sure. I think you have to do it on the fly again. It's not saving it. It's not saving. Okay, so when reading large CSV files, you can use a generator expression to read one line at a time and process it on the fly. This can be much more memory efficient than reading the entire file into memory at once. And this is using chunk for chunk in DB read CSV. So programming languages are powerful on their own, right? They're powerful on their own. We know Python to be not that bad, but not doing so well in terms of memory, right? And they are constantly and improving on in the current Python 3. What? 3.11, right? Is it 3.11? Yeah, so they actually have new improvement in terms of the execution, and but before now, we know Python to be not so good in execution and time execution and like, but that is why they come up with all these functions so that you won't exhaust your memory and the likes. I think I wrote so when it first came out, I went through the documentation briefly, and I just picked out some points from my system is low, really. So I just picked out some some improvement they have there, and so that's, and I didn't come with my charger. My system is low. Abono, I can use your charger to charge my system. Yes. But it shouldn't be low by this time. Yeah, so this particular one, this faster execution of code. So it's the new one in 3.11. It's better than the former one. All right, so it's charging now. Thank you. Battery is not charging. Well, I'm using directly. Okay, it's charging now. All right, so let's move on. So it's actually it's better in terms of fast execution now. Maybe not to what we expect. We are expecting of Python as Python developer. So we're expecting something more faster than that, but it's still better and better than some programming languages. So I'm just chipping that in because we are talking about something around execution of code, right? Okay, so for example, this is how to read. So we use a generator expression to read one line at a time, which is this. So we have chunk by chunk in PDF. So this is the large file. Do we have the large file uploaded for us? No. All right. So please, when you are dropping it, help us do it as CSV instead of G sheet. The large size, the large. Okay, it's not available. Oh, I thought you said it's available. I thought you said we are doing it for. Okay, all right. So basically, if we have the large size now, so we'll have just. Yeah, no, it's just number of rows, the size you are picking at the time. Okay, we should use the test. Yeah, exactly. So let's reduce this to. So this was the parameter. And this chunk guy is actually from pandas, right? So that chunk is from pandas, and the chunk size is the parameter used, to specify the number of rows you want to execute at a time. So this will split the data into to real time. Yeah, this. Yeah, so instead of this chunk is the function itself. So, but this one could be any. Yeah, it's the variable. Yeah, because it's from just for what do we call it? Parallel or just just to have a similar throughout the consider that we're using chunk. Okay, so and greatly this will increase the program's overall effectiveness, especially when we are running a CSV. So the total we have here is about 1,000 blah blah. So let's see. So let's process this by printing the length of uh, chunk. So we'll run this now, right? So it process 100, 100, 100, 100, and then 18. That is the process. That is how it's going to process it. So this, we can easily tell that what is the total number of the length we have here, the total of rows we have. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 518. Okay, 418. Right. So if we change it to, let's say, let me change it to 1,000. It's just or process the everything at once. So no, imagine now we now have 1 million rows. I want to run the 1 million rows at once. So you will just see your this thing rolling. And when you've exhausted when your memory has been exhausted, so it will just give you time error, memory not available. So now this chunk size is what you, so before you start, you will have, know the total. How much is it? How much is it? Yeah, but we've even able to use one data, yeah. All right, so that is for, so now let's process it. So processing large data sets. So a generator expression can be used to process large data sets, one element at a time without loading the entire data set into memory. For example, so use generator expression to process data on the fly using for loop for X in pandas of each column. This one also should, let's print out the length of the copy this. So now we are processing one element at a time now, each element at a time for each column. So we run this now. You're processing one at a time, so that column shouldn't. One second, let me see. Oh, for X in. Is that? Actually, okay, in the data, right? I'm trying to read the error from. Oh, sorry, it's the data set. The is not the old data set, which that column is not in that data set. So we can just pick this name. Here. That is the integer from, yeah, because the value must be integer. That's the process we are doing. So we can pick age. Oh yeah, we can pick age. Yeah. So here now we are processing one column at a time instead of processing all the columns at a time. So this is just the operation we are performing on it for each of these. So it could be any function, any operation we perform on the function in the data. So so filtering large data sets. So just apply conditional statement to that instead of the operation. So this also we just print out. So you can complete this. So this will just print out the filtered, the X filtered. All right. So these are exercises for pandas and asynchronous programming for data processing. So I think this is the last one. No, this is not the last. We still have distributed processing with DAS. What was the time? Abunu, can we continue from here next week? Let's continue from here next week. So we are starting with asynchronous programming for data processing next week, God's willing. So data asynchronous. Okay, so asynchronous. Okay, so let's have a brief introduction of asynchronous. So asynchronous is a programming paradigm that allows you to run multiple tasks simultaneously and switch between them as needed. So not all programming languages have that ability to do. So it's basically being able to, when you are performing operation on or performing a task, you don't need to wait for one to finish before it gets to, so you can perform that asynchronously. So by the time this one is running, so the other one is also running simultaneously, and you can switch between them. So basically, that's just the concept behind asynchronous. So and all these are useful. We use them just to optimize the time execution. Is all about running of large data sets so that we can run one and let the other one also run. You don't need to wait for one to finish before you move on to the second one. So you split them. This one is running, and you can switch between the two at that time. So there is a function in Python that I can use for to achieve that. So is there any question?
So what total exercise you are expecting now?
All right, so people on the call, so
By the end of 16 weeks, sure, thinking of powerful AI engineers. That's our dream. End of 16 weeks, so I'm going to give you as much as possible. Of course, we are good at that. Saturday is not enough, right? It's not enough, I mean. It's not enough. Those who put another day, everybody is busy now. I have to another day.
okay, so there's a question here for asynchronous running of the programs. Does it not affect the speed of the system, particularly for the large data set? So basically, so asynchronous programming can improve the performance of programs that deal with large data sets or perform input and output operations. So by using asynchronous programming techniques, so a program can avoid waiting to slow the input and output operations. So to complete instead of to complete and instead perform other tasks that are waiting. So, however, the speed of the system can be affected by asynchronous programming if not implemented properly, right? So, and asynchronous programming can be complex and require useful management of resources. That's the CPU, the memory, so if not managed correctly. So yes, asynchronous program can consume excessive resources and slow down the system. And to add to that, the performance benefit of asynchronous programming depend on the characteristics of the program or and the hardware that is running on. So the program and the hardware that the program is running on. So for some programs, the overhead of managing asynchronous tasks may outweigh the benefit of concurrency. So if that is the case, it's important to carefully evaluate the performance benefit of asynchronous programming and so the benefits for your specific use before implementing it, right? So basically that's it. I hope that answers it.
Yeah, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you very much for that.
It's getting in the system.
Just to present.
visit the website in just 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Maximum.
No. Ẹ jẹ́ kí n bá yín. So ibà ilẹ̀ máa ní láti wá lò. Ẹ get ẹ lélẹ̀. Ibà ilẹ̀ ti máa lò. Ibà ilẹ̀ ti máa wò. Why extended?
Okay.
Ṣé máa ní ìdílé mi?
Ẹ náà wá ṣe tó jẹ́ wá ní kò hẹ́ yìí.
Kílẹ̀ kí?
Kò hẹ́ akatọ̀ náà ní ọkùnrin kò hẹ́. Okay.
Ṣé kò ẹ lè fẹ́ kí lẹ̀?
Yeah. I need to bring my system. There are some links I want to.
Okay, you need to use the system. So there is a general class now. So the screen will be shared and we hear from the new speaker soon.
We are also connected to is part of the organizers representing AI system for this brother. All their studies in Nigeria are involved. And I want to potential devices. I mean, it's $5 we share now. Let's take $2. So public, very well.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Taufik, and I'm also like one of you. We are both learning this thing together. So okay, I think I should stand up. All right. So my name is Taufik. I'm a software engineer. I'm an AI enthusiast, and I welcome everybody once again. So I've been attending a couple of workshop and everything about this Korea AI hack, and I feel like I should share with everybody here. So basically, it's just an hackathon. I believe you know what an hackathon is. Okay. If we don't know it, then we are AI enthusiasts. We can ask Google about it. Okay, so it's just like it's just a way of creating something, making something happen when it comes to the AI space. And while you are doing that, you are getting something in return. So with this, it's organized by AI Saturdays in Lagos, and it's sponsored by Cohere. So Cohere is a company that they provide services in forms of APIs, application programming interface. So they work with multilingual solutions, multilingual models to provide solutions for AI developers like us. So they've sponsored this hackathon such that they can support and also encourage people to use their platforms and their API services. It's not for free, so we have to appreciate them for what they've done, because while we are doing this, learning about them and learning about AI, we are going to be having access to their endpoints for free to build our solutions. So this is the page for the hackathon. It's starting on 20th of April. So basically, you can have a team of 2 to 5 people. You cannot work as a single person. So you have to go to the platform. You have to register. I believe you can also see this URL. This ai6lagos.devpost.com. Present it in a physical way. Can we all see this URL? Okay, we'll paste on the WhatsApp group. So the first step is to come to this page. You register your profile. once you register, you'll be able to have access to the other tabs, which is the projects, the participants, resources, and all other tabs. So this page has almost everything you need for this hackathon. So this is your entry point to this hackathon. So once you register on this platform, I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I wanted to be sure that people can hear you.
Okay. All right. So once you register, last time I checked this yesterday was 90 something participants. Now we have about 111 participants. So I'm registered on this platform. I can see the list of participants. I can see people who are open, who already have a team, and people who are already working, who are working solo, who doesn't have a team yet. So once you register, you'll be sent a couple of other links like the Discord channel. So that's another platform after this this page. So this Discord channel is the channel where you have all the participants, all the organizers, all the mentors, and all the judges on that platform, where you can ask any other question you have that you don't have access to from this page. So the Discord channel will also share the link on the WhatsApp group. So you join the channel. There's a particular channel on that server, Discord server, where it says if you're looking for a team, you identify that you tell them that you're looking for a team, so that you can help you to match you with people who doesn't have a team also. So as I've mentioned earlier, it's starting on 28th of April. It's a virtual hackathon. You don't have to come to this place or any other place to do it. Once you have a team, you and your team can organize how you meet and try to solve this problem. So basically, there's no hard and fast rule to the kind of problem you are solving. You can solve any problem as long as you think about it. You think it's a problem, it's a challenge, and you're able to come up with something AI that can solve it. The only thing is just that you have to make sure that at least you use one of the endpoints of Cohere. You can use many resources for this hackathon, but make sure that you are making reference to Cohere platform, to their service, and using one of their APIs, one of their endpoints for this for your solution that you are building. So then, as for other arrangements as regards this hackathon, I said it's starting on 28th of April. It's virtual, but you can also organize one or two places for you and your team to meet and solve this challenge together. But on the 6th of May, if I'm right, Mr. Language, 6th of May, right? So 6th of May, it's starting on 28th of April and 10th on 6th of May. But on the 6th of May, we are going to be having a workshop for us here at yeah, at TRD. So further communication will be shared on the WhatsApp channel. So make sure you are constantly updating yourself on that channel. So there will be a workshop for us there whereby we come together, we go through some sessions, and that will be the final day of the hackathon. So that day also, the winners of the hackathon will be announced. But before that date, there will be some hackathons before that date. I think 28th, the starting date of the hackathon. The team of Cohere will be present. I think it's virtual. Yeah, it's virtual. So they're available to walk us through how their platform work and kind of give us a kind of tutorial of how we can solve our problems with their platform. So on the resources tab, we have a lot of other resources and other things that are going to need for this hackathon. Then let's go to the most interesting part, which is there are a lot of rules, which I think if you visit the platform, you can read about it because of our time. So the most interesting part for me is the prizes, right? So we have prizes for the first three positions: the first position, the second position, and the third position. So for the first position, it's going to be going on with $1,000 US. So if you are just two, that means each of you are going on with $500. That's the first one, and you are going to have access to 3,000 Cohere API credits. So the way these API credits work is that, as I've mentioned earlier, Cohere provide their services for some amount of money. It's not free. But once you have access to this, once you win this prize as the first prize, you are going to have 3,000 Cohere API credits. It means that the credit is like money that they spend on API and Cohere API services. So you are able to have access to some of the services with this credits. So, and another thing that is very interesting for me, apart from the money, is the fact that the first place winner will get to meet one of the Cohere founders and work with Cohere's team to build a demo package for social media feature. So I think this is very important because either you win this, either you collect the money or not, if you're able to win this as a first position, the fact that you are going to be joining the team at Cohere to build a solution which will be implemented for a particular social media package, a feature for social media package, I think that one alone can take you to places. Forgetting about the money and other stuff. So that's for first place, and we have second place, which is going with $800. The top place is $500, and some other stuff. So that's for the prices. And one other thing I want to mention is how they rate, how they score these solutions. So basically, on this platform, this DevPost platform, there's going to be a voting process. So when team A or team B or team C submit their solution, other teams or any other person can come to this platform and vote for their solution if they really like what they have built. So solutions with highest votes are going to be taken into consideration when the judges are considering the best solutions. So yeah, for the requirements, you don't have to be a guru in AI. You don't have to be the best at what you do. This is an opportunity to learn, because I'm also learning, because I'll be applying for this also, but I believe me, I don't know anything about Korea or whatever, but I want to try it and see how far I can go with it. So don't say, okay, this is something big. We have people from different countries, apart from Nigeria, we have people from other countries. But don't look at that. If you really want to try something and just give it a try, have access to their resources, try to see how it works. If it's just for that learning purpose, let's try to attempt and see how far we can go with it. Who knows? Maybe we can have a first winner among us there. So there are a lot of information about this hackathon, which I won't be able to disseminate within this limited time. So if there are questions after looking at this, we can always ask in the group, and we'll take care of the rest. So that's the summary of this hackathon. Thank you. Questions?
There are questions. If you want to be a mentor or a judge,
Yeah.
there is also a question also.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. So each community, like AI IBADAN, AI Saturdays IBADAN community can nominate between 2 to 5 judges. So if you feel like you have what it takes to be a judge, and we can also nominate 2 mentors from our community here. Each community can nominate mentors. Sorry, someone was asking the question. To be a mentor, well, based on the little I know about this, you have to be able to deploy AI models. Number one. Number two, you have to understand. Don't run. You have to understand at least how to deploy, how to use a Korea API. It's simple. Like the documentation is. If I open this page and show you the documentation, just like what Mr. Ridwan mentioned the other time, documentation is the key. I was just looking at the documentation this morning. I feel like, yes, this is just it. Like that documentation is so full of information. So the documentation, like I don't even know what's that. I don't have a problem in mind yet. I don't have a team. I don't have anything yet. I just like, let me just have a look at what they're trying to do. And kind of it's so huge. Documentation is huge. So yes. What I miss?
Okay, like we said.
Unfortunately, I won't be allowed to participate because I'm also a co-organizer. So I'll just well, the only way you can do that is just to apply. Just apply. Once you apply, get a team. Maybe 1, get that 2 or 3 or 5. Yeah, you can look up for team on this page. There is a page called participants. You see people that are already having a team. Who doesn't have a team? You see their brief summary of their profile and everything. Find a team. Meet on Google Meet or meet on Google Meet. You guys talk about what you think you can solve a solution, create a solution for it, learn on the process. That's the only way you can learn. As far as it's concerned. Yeah. Okay, so well, if there's no question, thank you very much for the time. And happy, we have to have this. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We have some of our participants online. Okay, please, we had a technical issue. We couldn't take attendance today. So I'm going to drop a link on the group. So please, please ensure that you take the attendance on the group. I'll drop a link, just something simple, just like 10 seconds and you're done. Okay? Thank you so much. Right? You can end the meeting, please.